guys, CJ here with Elevated Systems. So back at Computex in June, Jonsbo unveiled their most ambitious NAS case yet, the N5. And listen, as a lifelong custom PC enthusiast, I get hyped about new cases. I buy a ton of them, review them, share my thoughts with y'all, and then into storage they go. But when I saw the N5, I was genuinely stoked because this is the DIY NAS case I've been hunting for. Some of you might remember my Unraid server build, a massive overkill system rocking a 32-core Threadripper, an E-ATX motherboard, a big old tower air cooler, and a bunch of PCIe devices. I built it in a Be Quiet Silent Base 802, which is an awesome case, but it maxes out at 8 3.5-inch hard drives, and I'm running out of space. On top of that, the drives aren't hot swappable. They're fixed in place and a pain to swap out. Enter the Jonsbo N5. This thing can handle up to 12 hot swappable drives down here and still has plenty of room up top for the oversized hardware in my home lab. So I've swapped my server from the Silent Base 802 into the N5, and today I'll take you through my build notes on that process. But first, as always, we'll break down the specs and features, build quality. We'll also take a quick look at the server components and ultimately figure out who this NAS case is for and whether it's worth your hard-earned cash. Let's get into it. Let's start by diving into the specs and features. The Jonsbo N5 is a dual-chamber NAS enclosure measuring 355 millimeters wide, 403 millimeters deep, and 350 millimeters tall. The lower chamber holds up to 12 3.5-inch drives, 8 vertically mounted on one backplane and 4 horizontally mounted on another. It also accommodates ATX PSUs up to 240 millimeters, though I'll explain practical restrictions later. 2 rear exhaust 120 millimeter fans in the lower chamber keep the drives cool. The upper chamber supports motherboards up to 12 inches long by 14 inches wide, including E-ATX, XL-ATX, and other large formats. You can fit tower air coolers up to 160 millimeters tall, PCIe cards up to 350 millimeters long in the 8 full height PCIe expansion slots. Cooling options include up to 3 120 millimeter fans on each of the side rails, 2 120 millimeter or 140 millimeter fans on the front, or up to a 200 millimeter AIO radiator. If storage is your priority, the side rails can hold up to 4 2.5-inch SSDs instead of the fans. The front I/O offers a 10 gigabit per second USB-C and a 5 gigabit per second USB-A port, 3.5 millimeter headset jack, and drive indicator LEDs for bays 1 through 8. To keep your components data safe, the N5 is built like a tank with premium materials to match. The internal chassis is crafted from 1 millimeter cold rolled steel, providing durability and stability. The case is wrapped in 2 2mm brushed and anodized aluminum panels that look as good as they feel, sleek, modern, and tough. The only bits of plastic you'll find are the 6mm feet and the drive cover frame, which is beautifully inlaid with 8mm walnut wood slats for a touch of class. Once fully assembled, the case feels rock solid and uncompromising. However, there's one small issue. The wooden drive bay cover magnetically is attached and easy to remove with the included fabric pull tab, but it sometimes fails to stay perfectly in place, and this happens because the rubber handles Jonsbo uses for the drive mounts occasionally interfere with the panel's alignment. I'll dive deeper into this engineering choice later. Now, let's talk about the server I'm building in this case. I've already done a full video on my NAS where I covered all the components and, more importantly, how to select parts for your DIY NAS build. You can check that out right here. Since I've already gone in depth there, I'll keep it brief this time. This case houses my repurposed Threadripper 2990WX workstation, now an overkill NAS with 32 cores, a Be Quiet Dark Rock Pro TR4 cooler, and an Asus Zenith Extreme E-ATX motherboard. I swapped the full-size GPU for an RTX A2000 low-profile card and added a PCIe 4.0 NVMe card, SATA expansion, and a dual 10 gigabit NIC. On paper, the N5 feels custom built for this setup. First off, I really like how modular this case is. There's 6 hex screws securing the top aluminum panel, and once you remove them, it opens up the entire top compartment. On the bottom, along with the magnetically attached drive bay cover, the entire left side for drive bay is removable. The rear panel, which houses the 2 exhaust fans and the PSU bracket, is also detachable, fully opening up the lower compartment. Even with all that space, I hit my first snag right away. My 220mm long 1200 watt power supply ran right up against the left side for drive bay, and there was no way it was going to fit with the cables attached. Technically, the case supports PSUs up to 240mm, but only if you remove the left drive bay. There's a secondary cable pass-through to accommodate that setup, but you lose those 4 drive slots in the process. In reality, the longest PSU that fits comfortably while keeping all 12 drive bays intact is a standard 160mm ATX PSU. Now, finishing up with the bottom section, there's one more thing I don't love. The mix of 4-pin Molex and SATA power connectors on the backplane. My PSUs uses a separate cable for Molex and SATA, and I couldn't get a single Molex cable to reach all 3 connectors. This meant I needed to use 3 separate cables to power the backplanes, which works but adds unnecessary cable clutters. Even so, there's plenty of room for cable management. I ran a 6 SATA cable bundle and 2 additional SATA cables through the large pass-throughs above the 8 bay to connect to the right side drives. A second 6 SATA bundle ran through the left side pass-through to the 4 left side drives, leaving me 2 open SATA cables for possible future SSD expansion. That said, the pass-through above the left drive bay is basically unusable with the bay installed. The opening leads straight into the bay, so once drives are installed, there's no way to pass cables through to the rear of the case. It's only usable if the bay is removed. My PSU has extra long cables, but there was more than enough room in the lower chamber to bundle everything up with a few zip ties, keeping the cables tidy and out of the way of the fans without significantly affecting airflow. The top compartment was smooth sailing, no issues at all. My 11-inch wide E-ATX motherboard fit perfectly with more than enough access to all the cable pass-throughs on every side. One thing I really appreciate was that Jonsbo didn't pre-install the motherboard standoffs. Instead, they provide all the standoffs loose so I could install them exactly where I needed them for my board. This saved me the hassle of moving standoffs around, or worse, risking damage to my motherboard because of an ill-placed standoff. And even though my air cooler is technically 2mm taller than the listed max height of 160mm, it fit with room to spare. This case is also built to handle massive graphics cards up to 380mm as I measured it. However, mounting 2 front intake fans as I did will reduce that available length, and a front-mounted AIO would reduce it even farther. I tested whether an AIO could be mounted on the side rails. Unfortunately, a 360mm radiator doesn't fit at all, and the 240mm radiator wouldn't fit on the right side because of my motherboard heat sinks. It could technically fit on the left side, but it would block the last 3 PCIe expansion slots, and that wasn't going to work for me since I'm using most of the expansion slots. So the front really is the only practical spot for an AIO. I decided to go with 2 high pressure, high airflow Noctua fans on the front, paired with the stock rear fan to create a positive pressure in the top chamber. This setup should keep all the components cool while helping to mitigate dust without relying on the side filters. And speaking of those filters, they're a bit of a commitment since they use double-sided adhesive instead of magnets because, well, aluminum. However, even if they're installed, the top of the panel is still wide open, so positive pressure is the way to go here. Overall, I've got 0 complaints about the top compartment. It's well thought out, spacious, and easy to work with. Now let's talk about Jonsbo's drive mounting solution, which uses rubber bushings that screw into the hard drives, with the front bushings doubling as rubber handles. These bushings slide into the steel slots in the drive bays. This setup securely holds the drives in place and provides excellent vibration isolation, but removing the drives is a different story. It takes significant force to overcome the friction fit, and as you pull, the handle stretches under the tension. When the friction finally breaks, the handle snaps back quickly, which can cause the drive to jerk or even bang against the frame, and this creates a real risk of damaging the drives, especially if you're handling them frequently. To address this, I found that skipping the middle bushing using just the two on the rear and the two on the front handle makes the drives much easier to remove while still keeping them secure in the bay. While I appreciate Jonsbo's space-saving design, locking drive trays would have been a more user-friendly solution, especially for a case meant to house valuable storage devices. Another quirk is the inclusion of only 8 drive LEDs, even though the case supports 12 drives. Adding a second bank of LEDs for bays 9 through 12 seems like it would have been a simple improvement. Another small omission is the lack of a reset button. When my Unraid server freezes, which thankfully happens very rarely, my motherboard performs a soft restart using the reset button, allowing the drives to idle and spin down gracefully. Without it, I have to rely on a hard restart by holding the power button, which isn't ideal for a storage server. It's a small but important feature that I wish Jonsbo had included. Now, before I wrap things up, let's talk about thermals and noise. For testing, I'm running the original 6 drives from my old case in the Unraid array. I still need to pre-clear the new drives and then add them to the array, which can take days. In the meantime, the lower drive bay fans are connected directly to the backplane, so they're spinning at full RPM nonstop. While they do an excellent job keeping the drives at a cool 30 to 40 degrees Celsius, they are loud, like over 56 decibels loud to be exact. Luckily, the Asus Zenith Extreme motherboard includes built-in temperature sensors, which opens up some options for me. I'm planning to replace the 2 lower fans with the same Noctua fans that I used up top. Using my temperature sensors, I can identify the warmest drive, attach a thermocouple to it, determine the temperature offset, and then set a custom fan curve for the lower fans based on drive temps. And this should drop noise levels well below 50 dBA at idle and also help mitigate dust buildup, which is my main concern for a 24/7 server. As for the PC temps, everything is running about the same, maybe a degree or 2 cooler compared to the Be Quiet Silently Base 802, and that's thanks to the separate compartments and the open design of the upper chamber. And I've been pushing this Threadripper, regularly stressing all 32 cores with media encoding workloads, along with the RTX A2000, and I really have no complaints on cooling performance here. So, who is this case for, and is it worth the price tag? If you're looking for a NAS case that supports full ATX, full height PCIe cards, and more than 8 drive bays, there are a few options out there. But if you also need compatibility with E-ATX motherboards, ATX power supplies, full tower air coolers, and long PCIe cards, all while fitting 12 drive bays, this is pretty much your only options. Now, there are some 4U rack mount style cases like the JMCD 12S4, but those limit you to 135mm coolers and PCIe devices usually under 250mm. Or there's the Almordor WS-SR630, which offers 360mm AIO support, but maxes out at 8 drives bays. And honestly, I'm not even sure if that one exists outside of product listings. The Jonsbo N5 stands out, not just for its versatility, but also because it doesn't need to be hidden away in a server room or closet. It looks fantastic as a desktop server, though you'll need a large desk to accommodate it. The wood paneling, brushed aluminum exterior, and rounded corners give it a premium, sleek aesthetic. As for the price, that's a little tricky. I bought mine on AliExpress for $265 with free shipping, planning to have it here for a review before it came available in the US. Newegg eventually listed it for $248, and it sold out almost immediately. Every time more stock arrives, it sells out again, which suggests the price is fair. After working with the case and seeing the features, build quality, premium materials, and ease of building, I definitely think it's worth that price. That said, it's a perfect fit for someone looking to repurpose an old desktop workstation or gaming rig into a home storage server. For those users though, the cost might feel high for rehousing older components. But what do you think? Is the Jonsbo N5 something you'd use for a DIY NAS build, or is the size or cost a deal breaker? Let me know your thoughts in the comments, and while you're there, be sure to hit that like button and maybe consider subscribing for more tech insights and DIY projects. If you're looking for something smaller and more affordable, check out my review of the Jonsbo N4, and I'll see you in the next one.